Let me tell you an interesting story. When I was dumb at 19, I'm 19 right now, I would do a lot when chasing females, like pretending to like the Lana Del Rey TV girl in the show Shameless. Basically, one of my methods to helping me pull females was pretending to give a fuck about their interests and hobbies. And this method works great until you meet a Latino's only hobby is to sit on TikTok and complain about you. But that's besides the point. At one point, I wanted this Eastern European girl who happened to be Muslim, so naturally, I did a little bit of research on Muslims via TikTok, and I remember the fact that they don't eat bacon or pork or pigs for some reason. So naturally, I went to McDonald's, ordered a burger with no bacon on it, and sent her a snap with the caption, "No bacon around here," or something like that, and she was like, huh? I looked into why Muslims don't eat pork, and I low-key agree with it. The thing is, I didn't look into it, but it really didn't matter. She didn't really give a fuck that I didn't order bacon on my burger. This talking stage lasted about 2 weeks, and at some point she tricked me into saying some chant that supposedly turned me into a Muslim. So I accidentally became a Muslim or some shit, but that's besides the point, because I'm still fucking up a double bacon cheeseburger. So anyways, I thought about it a little bit after this talking stage. Why don't Muslims eat pork? And is there some ethical or spiritual related benefit to this outside of just following a religion that says don't eat it? And I'm going to dive into that now. The tradition of Muslims not eating pork originated a long time ago before you could just DoorDash 2 pounds of cooked bacon to yourself. There was little to no sanitation on farms, and there was absolutely zero resemblance of anything that comes close to the FDA. If you had anything edible, you could basically sell it, even if you think what your son could be a disease, because there's nobody smart enough to link it back to you, and the health and science back then wasn't that advanced. So because of this, meat was for one expensive, and two, was harder to clean and monitor than plants. And because of this, pork was one of the lesser eaten meats because people back then had some common sense, and when they saw pigs rolling around in their own shit, they thought it wouldn't be that safe to eat. They were basically filthy vacuum cleaners with legs, embodying the sin of gluttony, eating literal garbage, dead bodies, dead animals, and whatever disease was trending in that century. People didn't have fridges, so eating pork was like buying sushi from a gas station. Yeah, you can, but you're basically gambling with your digestive system. So the Quran was like, yeah, no, don't do that, and it stuck. Now in the modern day, raising and cleaning pigs and their meat has gone a lot more safe, but Muslims still don't eat it because it's not just about health anymore. It's about obeying Allah and cultural pride. And honestly, even today, pork can be sketchy. Trichinosis isn't gone, and pigs still have more fat than a Texas State Fair deep fryer. Think about how Christians celebrate Lent. Originally, Lent, the 40-day fasting period before Easter, was a legit practical way to reset your diet after the winter. Since food stores were low and people had to ration anyway, it also tied into religious symbolism of fasting and repentance. Back then, avoiding meat during Lent wasn't just about being holy. It also kept you from eating spoiled meat in early spring when preservation was sketchy. Now people have fridges, and with all the preservatives in food, they can last for years on end. So there is no good reason to really ration, at least in my part of America. I don't know about Illinois and shit, but yeah, y'all be safe. But the tradition of giving up something for Lent has stuck around out of respect for the religion. In Islam, eating pork is considered haram, aka forbidden, but it's also not like one bite of bacon equals straight to hell. Muslims believe Allah judges them on their overall faith and intentions. So if a Muslim unknowingly eats pork and then later finds out, they're fine as long as they repent from their sins, similarly to the Catholics. Now something similar to this, but for the opposite reason, is Hinduism and cows. In Hinduism, cows aren't just big worthless farm animals, they're spiritual VIPs, like Beyonce and Animal Farm. Back in ancient India, having a cow was like having an all-in-one Costco membership, milk, butter, yogurt, eventual meat, and muscle power for plowing your fields. They basically kept you alive, so killing one wasn't just frowned upon, it was like torching your car, your fridge, and your paycheck all at the same time. Naturally, the don't kill the most useful animal in the village rule became deeply tied to religion, and cows ended up with its sacred status. Over centuries, what started as a practical survival move evolved into a major spiritual principle. In Hinduism, the cow represents nonviolence, generosity, and life itself. Eating beef became not just bad manners, but a religious violation. A direct break from dharma, moral duty. And yeah, nowadays India has major cities and refrigerators sometimes, but the tradition is still going strong. Not because people think a steak will summon lightning from the sky, but because it's about respect and connection to their faith. So it's kind of the opposite for Muslims, as cows are too sacredy and pigs are too dirty to eat. So those double bacon cheeseburgers that began at McDonald's are like disrespecting more than half the world's population. Now let's talk about shellfish. Shrimp, crab, lobsters, clams, you name it. For some people, these little sea creatures are a straight up no-go. Like in Judaism, the kosher rule says that only fish with fins and scales get an invite to the dinner table, so no shrimp or lobster. Why? Back in the day, people noticed some seafood can make you seriously sick. With our fridges or science, it was safer to just skip the weird looking stuff with shells. Plus, shellfish can carry parasites and toxins that aren't easy to spot. This then carried over to modern day variations of Judaism. Islam's take on shellfish is a bit more complicated. Some Muslims say, nah, no shellfish, especially if you follow the Hanafi school, while others say, yeah, go for it, depending on their interpretation. It's like a religious seafood debate club, but instead of arguing over football, it's over crab legs. Even some Christian groups dip their toes into the no shellfish pool, mostly those that lean hard into the Old Testament laws. But for most people today, shellfish is fair game, and honestly, it's hard to find a better finger food for parties. So yeah, the shellfish ban mostly comes from old school health concerns and mixed with spiritual rules about what's clean and unclean. It's a mix of practical safety and symbolic separation, basically saying if it's sketchy and could kill you back, then just don't eat it, and then carried over to the modern day. Now if you think not eating pork or beef is strict, let me introduce you to Jainism, a religion where the diet makes being vegan look like a cheat day. Jains take Aizma, which means non-violence. So seriously, that doesn't just mean don't hurt animals, it means don't hurt anything with a pulse, including root systems. Meat, gone. Eggs, absolutely not. Fish, nope. But here's the kicker. They don't even eat root vegetables like onions, garlic, potatoes, or carrots because pulling them out of the ground kills the whole plant and disturbs the tiny organisms in the soil. So while most people are trying not to overcook their chicken, Janes are over here making sure their lunch doesn't emotionally traumatize microscopic bacteria. They only eat above ground plants like fruits, grains, beans, and greens. Basically, if it grows like a haircut, it's fair game. And it's not like this started because they didn't have access to meat or because some prophet said pigs were dirty. This is a deep 2,500-year-old commitment to not harming life in any form. Even in modern cities with grocery stores full of packaged everything, Janes still stick to it. And honestly, you kind of have to respect the dedication. Like imagine explaining at a barbecue, yeah, I don't eat meat, fish, or potatoes even because I'm trying not to hurt a worm's feelings. And then just calmly biting into a cucumber. Now, if you're part of one of these religions, in your idea of the religion, this is an important rule, then yes, you should follow it for sure. Follow the rules, or maybe if your partner you live with is in one of these religions, you could do it out of respect for them and their family's values. But what if you're not? Do these people have some points? Let's start with pigs. Animal Farm by George Orwell. In that story, pigs start off as these smart leaders trying to make a fair society, but by the end, they become inseparable from humans, greedy, corrupt, and obsessed with power and excess. The pigs and humans become indistinguishable, showing how overconsumption and selfishness are part of the same ugly cycle. In America, almost 10% of all adults are severely obese. People these days overconsume everything, not just food, and that's what gluttony is. Pigs embody this and will eat however much is put in front of them, and most of the time it doesn't matter what it is. If you're not Muslim and feel like you're falling into overconsumption, abstaining from pork could be a reminder you're above these types of animals. Another reason you might want to avoid pork is real health concerns, as it can be linked to cholesterol, cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and Alzheimer's. Undercooked pork can also cause trichinosis. On top of this, pork carries a lot of unsaturated fat.
Parasites love pigs. Okay, and they carry numerous parasites. And study after study proves this. In fact, according to a CDC study, they said pork is the primary source of trichinosis infections in the entire world. It's also one of the top for tapeworms, according to the World Health Organization and CDC. It's one of the top sources of toxoplasmosis. And from a biblical standpoint, when you read Leviticus 11:7-8, here's what it says. And the pig, because it parts the hoof and is cloven-footed, but does not chew the cud, it is unclean for you. You shall not eat any of their flesh, and you shall not touch their carcasses, for they are unclean. So there are so many reasons not to eat pork. Pork carries parasites. Pork has poor detox channels. The Bible recommends you not eat it. Science supports this. Functional medicine lens, pork is also very high in omega-6 fatty acids. It doesn't have omega-3, so it's inflammatory just in terms of their tissues themselves. There are a lot of reasons not to consume pork.
Next, we got cows. Cows and chickens both provide something consumable without having to kill them. Cows have milk, chickens have eggs. But more specifically with cows, they're useful on the farms due to their size and reliability. If you were stranded on an island with no food, you wouldn't kill and eat the only dude who knows how to fish. But here's the thing, you're not on an island, and the cows you eat at McDonald's are not used on any farms or even live on them. They grow up in factories where their only purpose is to die. They don't produce milk or help anyone. So it comes down to a different argument, one closer to how vegans feel about cows, and where your moral stance comes into on that. Health-wise, beef can have high saturated fats, and lots of cows use growth hormones like RGBH that stays in the meat. For shellfish, the majority of the reason it wasn't traditionally eaten was because of how hard it was to clean and ensure the safety of, and in some cases because of the fact it's not from the land and it's from the sea, meaning it's forbidden to eat. But unless you have some type of connection to these traditional values, and you know what you're eating is safe and non-harmful to you, then there isn't really a lot of incentive to not eat shellfish, because besides the fact it's overpriced and overrated as hell, and I used to work at a seafood counter, so trust me, I hated having to take the lives of the lobsters to give them out. One time a group of 15-year-olds came in and bought one of them alive to release into my local mall's pond, and I never heard what happened, but I can only assume we didn't live for very long after I sold them. Health-wise, shellfish is fine as long as you're not allergic to it, and they were not harvested in polluted waters that could contain mercury and other toxins or metals, though that could be a consideration if you're trying to manage your cholesterol. Lastly, we got not eating plants out of the ground. I think this one is a little bit dumb. For millions of years, herbivores kill plants and carnivores kill animals. It's a part of life and the purpose of life. Humans are one of the only animals that has almost no fear of being hunted for food, but that doesn't mean we are above everyone else. Eating other living things is an essential part of our DNA, even if it's technically harming other living things. They are alive to be eaten so that those things can eventually die and their nutrients can return to the soil. It's a circle of life that the world has created. So if you feel extreme anxiety about how the plant will feel when you kill it, I guess go for it. But there's really no point. This is just like double down veganism. But the truth is that we are designed to eat meat and plants. We are not designed to care so much about what we're eating aside of how it will make us feel. This kind of stems from the lack of purpose that the modern day society has. There's no innovation. People just live in a society where they don't have any purpose. And I guess a lot of people find their purpose in glorifying dumb stuff like not killing any type of plants with nerves. There's also not really any benefits to avoiding root plants besides lowering potential starch intake. Personally, unless I marry someone religious, I'm going to continue to eat what I want in moderation, and health consideration, of course. But these are the facts, and what you put into your body is up to you. So I encourage you to do more research if any of these resistance from eating any of these foods interests you and could align with your values, and then form your own opinion and lifestyle choices, because at the end of the day, this is my life and my opinions, and I'm not you. Like the girl I was talking to for 2 weeks, drinks and does a lot of other stuff that's haram, but chooses to draw the line apart because that's easier to have self-control on. So at that point, it's not even about self-respect for themselves or their religious history. So I encourage you, whatever you do it with good faith. Thank you, like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram at W4Y.